Howdy, everybody. You know how we say sometimes you have a case of the Mondays? People are grumpy when they start the work week. The people in the comment section right now are really grumpy on a Tuesday. You guys
man,
or something? What's
it's
your problem?
Taco Tuesday.
So mad.
Smart, Alex. Well, that was a waste of my time, says Tom. Hope you have a great day, Tom. Thanks for spending a few seconds with us.
It was only like a few seconds.
Sheila says no, because when Facebook asks me what's on my mind, I'm going to tell them. And then they're like, what video? What? I'm sorry, guys. We're a couple seconds late.
I love when you go on Twitter and someone tweets, "Hello, Twitter. What are we mad about today?"
Yeah. Seriously.
That's really how it feels sometimes. They really do be like that.
It's kind of like
a minute.
We talk about shared trauma from time to time. Like the shared trauma of being angry about something online brings people together. You know, you find something
Yeah, but
to
right
rant
now
and
it
rave
sounds like
about.
they're all angry at us.
They're angry at us. Sorry that this show wasn't everything we hoped it would be.
If we're bringing you together, I'm glad we could do our part.
So we're just getting going here.
This is the Today in AZ After Show. If you never watched before, just so all of our expectations are in line, this is not a news program.
Nope.
This is four people sitting on a couch talking about trending topics with you. Jump in the comment section. We will read your comments and interact
Can we
with
do
you.
that with everything in life? Here are the expectations for this. I'm just going to explain all of it right now.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Later.
You know?
Setting the bar super low.
Yeah, just write down the expectations
Right.
or lack thereof.
It would save a lot of hurt feelings. A lot of therapy, I think.
All right. Hey, maybe we can share some joint therapy about this topic today. So we talked about it on Today in AZ, our actual news broadcast from 4:30 to 7 on 12 News. We're talking about censoring videos on social media. The reason we bring this up is because this video is getting a lot of attention right now. We're not actually going to show you the video in question because it's, quite frankly, disturbing, and we're not going to spread it around. But it involves a woman who put a dog inside a clothing dryer and then turned the dryer on and then Instagram live the whole thing. She was seen laughing as you hear the dog tumbling around. The good news
She
is
was really young, right?
she was young enough that
No excuse.
Yeah, you still need to know.
Yeah, but it just, where were her parents?
Right, where are the parents at,
Yeah.
right? That's the universal question. Anyway, so this happened on Instagram Live, and it's prompting us to ask you if social media sites should have some sort of filter before we're allowed to post whatever video content we want. Should these things be screened or censored before they make it onto your feeds? Because I think I speak for all of us when I say I've seen some stuff on the internet I wish I hadn't seen. I wish somebody had screened some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that we all feel that way. And, you know, you can say like, oh, well, it's up to you to make sure that you're not consuming that content.
Clearly people are
but
bad judgment.
I mean, if it's in the feed, it's in the feed. What are you going to do? I mean, I do try to be really selective about who I follow, but especially when you're following someone new to you, you don't know what kind of content they're going to create necessarily. And even more so, like on Twitter, you don't know what kind of thing they're going to retweet. And, you know, you've signed up to follow this person, but then they're sharing someone else's content and it's getting put in your feed. And it does get a little out of control sometimes. And I do very often feel like I wish I hadn't seen that, because I try to be really careful about what I watch on TV, like even just leisurely, because I think we are such a product of what we consume. And there's so much that we see on TV and on social media now that, especially when it comes to fear, there's a lot that we didn't know we even needed to be afraid of.
Yeah,
until
no
we
kidding.
see it in a video, and then it starts to just become ingrained in us. And it
plus-
does really make you think, who's in charge here?
Yeah.
But it's up to us, really, to
The
be
inmates are running the
responsible.
asylum.
It's up to us to be responsible with what we're sharing, I think, more so than what we're consuming, because that part of it seems to be out of our control.
And sometimes it's just like a car crash. You're driving down the freeway. You know you're not supposed to look at it because you need to keep your eyes on the road, but you just can't help yourself.
Yeah.
It's right there in front of you.
Yeah, it's very tempting now.
So this case, the girl they're also trying to figure out, do they press charges against her? I don't know if you saw recently, there was another one of those famous Instagram blogger types who is known for messing with her cats online and doing all these feeds.
Oh,
so
yeah,
she was
yeah.
like blowing marijuana smoke in their face and having them sip vodka and things like that. And she had to come out with these big apologies. And it's just like, if you're an idiot, you're an idiot. And at that point, I'm like, great, now we have video of you being an idiot.
Right.
If we need that in case we need to press charges. So that's where I stand. I'm like, if you're going to post this stuff online, you have to be prepared for the consequences.
Well, and social media has been around long enough that everybody should know, especially if they're of age. And as a parent myself, like my child and children are still too young, but man, as soon as they get of age, I'm going to be like, don't do anything dumb online. It will ruin your life. Like, I don't even care. I'm not even going to put a middle ground out there. It's just, don't do it, and be a good person. Like, do it so that you don't hurt other human beings or other animals or whatever as well.
And I think what was so surprising for us today, just when we had the poll out there for viewers who were saying, do you think, the true question was, do you think that these videos should be pre-screened before they post? I know a lot of people can get the videos taken down, you can complain, but we're talking about before it even gets put out there. Should these social media companies be pre-screening them? And surprisingly, I was surprised.
I was too.
91% said yes.
But here's the thing, that was an Instagram Live. How do you you can't
Yeah, I know.
You can't pre-screen live video.
And
Right.
would it have
a live
delay,
video,
like a tape
so
delay like we have?
It just goes back to that responsibility that comes with social media. Not everyone should have it. And maybe there should be some sort of an age requirement where, I wonder, I have a niece who's 13 and sometimes she'll go live and I'm like, what the hell are you going live for? What do you have to share? And then you're letting people know exactly where you are and exactly where you hang out and exactly what you're doing.
Well, maybe the live feature should only be available to people that are, I don't want to say credentialed, but are vetted
verified?
to some degree. Yeah,
Vetted?
if not verified, then at least vetted to know that there are either a news source or
Not a bad
somebody
idea.
of some sort of importance. Because you're right, that brings up child safety issues that we haven't even tapped into.
Oh,
when kids are live streaming.
terrifies me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the issues that this brings up, and you guys are actually filling our comment section with some really insightful remarks, and we'll get to them in just a second, but one of the issues to me that I thought would sway the poll in the other direction was that this is really a freedom of speech issue when it comes down to it. If you're talking about censoring videos before they're posted, now you're asking a different set of questions because some ambiguous, overseeing, omnipotent employee at Twitter or Facebook or whatever, that person, you in this instance, is watching my video before it's posted and you are the judge, jury, and executioner and you get to decide what I put in my feed. That's not the way this should work, and especially in a breaking news situation where it might be important and it might save lives to get certain information out there. I mean, think about the mass shootings. If I were showing a graphic video of a mass shooting on my Facebook page, there are plenty of people who, one, don't want to see it, and two, would be offended by the content.
But it's still
me
important
posting that live video might save lives. So who are you to dictate whether or not that video should be posted? Who is censoring these videos? Some anonymous room of people sitting in a conference room somewhere that are just scrolling through feeds? That's another privacy issue.
But at
I don't
the
want
same
some weirdo
time,
watching my stuff before it gets posted.
If it's their platform that you're
Then they should
utilizing,
decide what's
then
posted to
do
it.
they get that right?
Right.
You know what I can't stop thinking about is, and I'm so sorry, I cannot remember this man's name specifically, but do you remember the man that was shot by police when he went to reach for his wallet and his girlfriend? She was
I want to say
live
which
streaming
one
the
because
whole
I
thing.
feel like that's happened more than
It
once.
has,
Yeah.
but there was one where the girlfriend was she was live streaming it on Facebook, and you think about the evidence in that situation and how that would change the situation from after that happened. And I mean, I remember watching that. It was one of the possibly the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen on social media. It was unbelievable to see that happening and her reaction to it. But as much as none of us want to see that, I do think that that was very important, because if you never understood the impact of what the Black community was going through at that time, feeling unsafe, being pulled over by police officers, if there was anything that was going to drive it home, it was that live stream.
And without the video, it's a he said, she said situation.
Exactly.
So there's definitely some merit, some value to being able to go live. But like we said, it also comes with pitfalls. And in an instance like this, by the way, the dog is okay. The girl might be facing charges. The thing, like you said, when you're dumb on video, there is proof of it. So it's not like you can pretend that that's not what was happening.
That's the evidence
I
right
want
there.
to take that dog and snuggle it and give it a new home.
I know. No
Idiot
kidding.
woman.
All right, let's get to some of your remarks here about social media. Nick says, my fiance and I both believe that censorship of one's thoughts is a sign of a dictatorship. I think it's a slippery slope too, Nick, and I think it's worth debating. I think the merits of social media are still being figured out. I think the pitfalls of social media are still being discovered. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we've reached that stasis where I think we're all comfortable with the technology. And I think there are ways to make it better. I'm not sure that this is one of those ways, but it's curious to get some of your opinions on it. Peggy says the audio is synced with the video today.
Hi,
That's an improvement from
Peggy.
yesterday.
Oh, that's great.
Peggy, thanks for stopping
Peggy,
by
thank
again
you for
today.
coming back, even though we
thank
had
you very
issues
much.
yesterday. You're the
Diana
best.
says that girl was old enough to know that it was wrong and that it was animal
Right.
abuse. Brian brings up a few years ago the guy who live streamed the reporter that he shot and killed. That was in Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, again,
terrible.
imagine coming across that in your feed. Imagine coming across a manifesto of one of these mass shooters just showing up on your feed at some point because somebody
Gives
shared
me
it
chills.
before it's vetted. I mean, that's terrifying stuff. That's the sort of thing that foist psychological trauma on someone that maybe they don't even understand how it affected them until
Yeah,
later
that's what
on
I'm
in
talking
life,
about.
know
When
what
you
I mean?
start consuming this
Yeah.
content, it becomes a part of what you think and how you feel in our world. And you can feel unsafe and not ever fully even process these things because we're so casually consuming this content now. It is changing the way we feel about the world, whether we acknowledge that or not.
Often passively, you're consuming something like through an IV. You're
Yeah,
intravenously
exactly.
sucking this stuff in,
No,
and not
seriously.
realizing its effects until later.
Linda says private videos are important. Sue said, this is the comment I really wanted. Sue says, I'm a big girl. I can make my own decisions. So Sue's not afraid of consuming something that may be a little scary or uncomfortable.
Donna brings up a pretty good point here about private groups. So we have our own 12 News Weather Watchers group on Facebook that does really well. There's 3,000 or 4,000 people in it, and they're vetted to some degree, and they post beautiful weather pictures. Some of them are professional photographers, some are just mom and pops
They're
at home.
awesome.
But the nice thing about that closed group is that one, everyone in it understands what the group is and what it's for. That thread is not filled with political discourse and angry rhetoric. It is for weather pictures, and it is for avid
It's a happy
viewers
place.
who like to share those things
Yeah.
with us and like to share, like there's a common sentiment that's sort of understood in that group. And so that's the nice thing about private groups. I know there's a station up in Seattle, one of our sister stations, that has a private group for like avid watchers of their evening show.
So you can
They
chat
do at
with them.
4
I
o'clock.
love that.
Right, and so it's like a closed community where you're not going to be exposed to any of the violence or the hate or the stuff that we hate about social media. It's all the love and the understanding and the good things that come with it.
And that's what I love about social media. And so I know a lot of people have turned away from Facebook, but what I love about Facebook is I have hidden notifications from so many things. I've unfollowed so many things. I've curated my Facebook. And so I follow a group called Girls Love Travel and Women on the Road because those are the things that I enjoy. And then 12 News Weather Watchers. So those are the things I interact with. Those are the things where I actually comment and post. And so when I log into Facebook now, it's all travel and camping and weather photos. I've curated it. And
Happy
you know,
place.
that's what I've done with Instagram too. So one of the things for me, and when you talk about consuming content that's going to become a part of your identity, Instagram with all of the fitness models and all of the booty shots and all of it, telling you
Was
what
that
to
beauty
look like.
shots or booty shots?
Booty shots. Booty
Sometimes
shots.
they're the same.
Both.
You know, I would go on my Explore feed in Instagram. All I would see was workouts and makeup tutorials. And I'm like, I don't want to wake up every day and check Instagram and see what I should look like and how I'm not good enough today and how I'm not pretty enough and the new workout that I need to do because of some problem with my body I never knew even existed. And so I started blocking the accounts that they kept putting in my feed. And then I would go through and follow more and more of like the travel and weather
now
and
you're, like,
nature
tilting
stuff.
it. Yes.
So you can do those things and curate your feed, but it is the random things that you never saw coming
Yeah.
that I think it's just unavoidable.
Peggy says someone else's opinion might be very different than mine. I just delete posts that bother me, like pictures of abused animals, etc. So she's kind of chiming in on your line of thinking where if you see something you don't like, flag it, report it, do
Get
your
rid
due
of it.
diligence
Yeah.
to prevent that from showing up.
Can I just say I love
If
Peggy?
you don't like it, just keep it. Peggy watches the show.
Really love Peggy.
Peggy, yeah, shout out to you. I know there's a few of you. Diana's another one who watches almost every day. Dee as well. Donna, Brian watches almost every day. You guys are awesome. You're our own closed group, this Today and AZ After Show. We appreciate the fact that you keep coming back for more content like this because you keep us going here. And we enjoy having the conversation with you every morning. You know, Jacques says the laws in place don't allow someone to direct or call to action violence against another, like screaming fire in a crowded space when there's not a fire. He says we need to leave the First Amendment alone. I think the First Amendment is very interesting, though, and this is another slippery slope. And we don't have to dive into this head first, but I'd like to at least touch on it tangentially. The Constitution and its amendments were mostly written a long, long time ago, way before social media was a thing. And to think that freedom of speech is completely covered by social media and the sort of lawless expanse that it's become, that I would argue we should let the courts decide in that instance because it's
more
not.
current.
It's not something that our founding fathers could have ever anticipated. Can you imagine the town crier in that day having a global audience to say whatever he wanted and spread that message like wildfire?
I can tell you right now, our founding fathers would not approve of the things that show up in my direct messages on Instagram.
Agreed.
I can tell you that right now.
So like, is it a First Amendment issue? Yes, absolutely. It is a freedom of speech issue. But the other issue we brought up is that these content curators, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, they technically run those platforms. Although we are allowed to post to their sites and share them in our own specifically curated feeds, they still own the content. So if they want to say, we're not going to have any more live streaming videos because people keep putting animals in dryers and eating Tide Pods and shooting citizens, then that's their prerogative. They can ban the live videos. And that doesn't affect my First Amendment right. They own the content.
Exactly.
They're a private company. They're traded on Wall Street.
If you want to share a live
Or a
stream
public
then
company,
and they're
rather.
saying no, then create your own platform.
Right,
No one's going to
exactly.
stop you from that.
Right.
I think there is going to be a point where, and it has come up before, where what kind of culpability do they have when they're allowing some of these things to
Yeah.
go on? I know several times there have been, kids who were live streaming, should I kill myself or not, and suicide messages for a long time, and other people in their feeds are telling them do it.
Yeah.
And they did it in other countries.
Yeah.
We've had some instances where
Yeah.
people have actually
And what does
done
the
it.
platform have to do
And it's
then?
like, how long was
they-
this video going on for?
Yeah, before some.
I mean, nobody called it. I mean, it's crazy. But I think some of those platforms are going to start being held responsible when
Yeah.
things like that continue.
This is a good conversation. It's just interesting. Jill's bringing up censorship. You misspelled censorship, by the way, Jill. She's asking how many rights will be stripped away after this one. I don't think it's about stripping away rights. I think it's just about not live streaming crime. Well, does that make sense? And then,
Yeah.
kind of forcing it on people who are not expecting to see it. Like, what that woman did is animal abuse. You can't put live animals in a dryer and think that it's okay or it's funny or it's a joke. And the people that came across that thankfully notified police. But, what happens if that woman's not held responsible and that video lives on that platform for a while? To your point, at what juncture does Instagram and the people that allow that video to be hosted there become responsible and become complicit in the animal abuse? Because at some point, somebody knows that video is posted to that platform. And if they don't notify authorities, they're accessories to a crime, are they not?
Yes.
Well, Sheila says a lot of those people are attention getters, and isn't that really
They're
what
in
it
it for the
is?
likes, right?
Isn't that what it comes
Absolutely.
down to?
That's the
Is
whole
it's all
purpose why
these
she
people
did it.
who now have this way to get attention instantly, instant gratification. And how extreme is it going to get? I mean, that dog lived. That's great, and it was an animal, not a person. You guys know I love dogs more than people most days, but thank God it wasn't her little brother or her little sister. I mean.
Yeah, no
The
kidding.
ability to get attention now, it's like everybody's trying to outdo each other, and it's becoming disgusting. And when you see what is going on social media, I mean, my sister and I text each other like every week about what we see on my 13-year-old niece's Instagram. And it's not even bad. It's not even bad. I have to tell my sister that's just the way it is
Yeah, there's
now.
just so
We
much
don't
sharing.
like it, but it's just how it is. They're sharing so much, and
share
they're
everything.
asking for so many opinions about themselves. They do this thing where it's
Roast me.
TB. They
Oh,
put
that
in
too,
they
but
put in
yeah.
the questions, the TBH, which is to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
and then they literally post what they think of each other.
So there's a comment. There's a thing on Reddit as well that's
No,
that's
I
don't
r roast me, and
like
people post
it.
pictures of themselves and just allow people to rip them apart.
I
in the comment
can't.
section.
Okay, I'm going to say this again because I think a lot of the responsibility not only should come down to Instagram or whatever the platform is,
yeah.
but the parents. I think we put too much blame on teachers. We put
Yes.
too much blame on it's
everybody else.
Instagram's fault. Well, where were you and why does your and I know this isn't always the case, but a lot of cases, why does your child think it's okay to put a dog in the dryer and put it online? That conversation should have happened a long time ago, and there should have been consequences like, hey, if you do something stupid,
You don't get
I'm
your
sorry.
phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows I'm a little bit more of a strict parent, and I think
That's
that
I like
Do
it.
not
I'm just
apologize.
tired of teachers and
for you.
other things taking the blame.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
remember the
Not
expression,
usually their fault.
keeping up with the Joneses?
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else remember what that used to mean? That used to mean mowing your lawn a certain way with that cool cross-stitch pattern. because the
Or
neighbors
like,
did.
doesn't it kind of mean like having a lawnmower that's as nice as theirs?
Right, or stringing up an extra strand of Christmas lights because Jimmy next door has
Yeah.
way better lights than you. Keeping up with the Joneses used to be simple little things like that, but now keeping up with the Joneses is on social media. It's like a constant pissing contest to try to
yes.
outdo the person next to you. What's the
Cannot-
craziest thing I could do? All these challenges,
Hate it.
whether it's the
Stand it.
Tide Pod challenge or the cinnamon challenge or these things that have real dangerous real life implications
Right. Yeah.
that are you're just doing it for attention.
Well-
but it's misguided attention. This isn't positive attention.
No.
It's notoriety. It's not the attention
But that's
you
why
want.
this generation only knows this, though.
If they're not
And-
famous,
and
they're
what
nothing,
they're
right?
okay
we
to-
don't know, understand.
We're just hating on
because
kids
we-
these days. We're four old people sitting in rocking
And
chairs
I
right
know,
now.
this is
Damn
the-
kids!
This is all they know. I mean, I have a 7-year-old, and he's like, "How many likes did you get on the picture you
Who
posted on
cares?"
Instagram the other day?" I probably created that, but that's what it all comes down to.
But at the same time, you're having that conversation with him, like, hey, yeah, it's great,
more
and
to
I need to
this.
do this for work, but there is more to life
Yes.
than what you see right here, and we're gonna go outside.
All
and
right,
enjoy
there's
it.
more to the show than this discussion. We will share a few more of your remarks before we end the show.
Everybody's
at
angry
about
and
7:50
disgusted
something
today.
here. Yeah, in the meantime, we're going to get to our ICYMI. In case you missed it on Today in AZ this morning, you missed this video, our A to Z 60 featuring Mitch Carr, in an awesome way that you can give back to your community today.
Downtown Phoenix is full of hundreds of parking meters, but this one at 3rd Street in Van Buren is a little bit different. Instead of just feeding the meter and helping you park your car, this coin might actually help feed a person.
All the money collected here goes to help the homeless for Phoenix Cares.
A different artist painted every carrying meter, and they are specifically designed to catch the attention of your better nature.
I wanted bright colors and I wanted it to be pretty and I wanted people to do a double take.
All of these meters take plastic and they take change. Maybe your change is helping to change someone's life.
And the fact that there's a dual purpose to this, it's bringing art to our city and providing resources for the homeless, it's just a win-win situation.
Think about it. It's change that might fall out of your pocket and you won't even notice. But it could be the difference between someone finding a place to stay tonight or sleeping on the street. And that's your A to Z 60.
I love the sentiment there. I think a lot of us feel weird about giving money to panhandlers sometimes.
Yes.
And if you live or work in downtown Phoenix, you know there are quite a
Yeah.
few down here. That's a good way to give back, and you know the money's going to
Awesome.
the right place and you're helping people out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they're pretty to boot. Makes you a
They're
little,
so
little happier to put
cute.
your money in there.
Yeah, they're
Just
beautiful.
a little bit.
See, you can take a plain old ugly everyday thing,
Like Mitch.
add a little paint to
Oh,
it.
no, you
Oh,
mean
come on.
Real quick, couple final words on this discussion before we wrap things up right here. Brian says that's an awesome idea. I agree. I like that idea too. Jack says, I think we've come a long way, but we can censor ourselves. We might need an app to do so, like Live AF. A couple people have brought this up. Are you guys familiar with Live AF?
No, but I just saw that in the comments myself.
They have a list of
Let's look it
words
up.
and statements on the app, apparently, that can't be used for you to live stream. I like that technology. I'm sure it's still in its fledgling stages, but we might have to
Yeah.
give that a try. Thanks for the
Check
shout
it
out,
out.
those of you who brought
I like Stephanie's a lot too. She said it's easier to teach a child than to catch and punish adults for criminal behavior. Because one of my thoughts as you were speaking, Jen, is that what kids get to do now on social media is going to set the tone for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. Learning the hard way.
2 words from Denise to wrap things up. Keyboard warriors. That's another part of this conversation, too, that we haven't even talked about. The veil of anonymity
love
that it
it.
goes into posting things without any recourse.
Yeah.
We could talk about this all day, but our producer Courtney is screaming. Let's
yelling at
wrap.
us.
We got a
Sorry,
Today Show cutting
Courtney.
to do. Join us on 12
Go.
News in just a second. We'll be back here tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. for the after show. Thanks for spending your morning with us, guys.
Bye.